Well, welcome back to Spencer FYI. I am here with Jenn Lappegard from Elderbridge, and we're going to talk about Caregiver Support Group and kind of what Elderbridge offers. So what is it that you do at Elderbridge, and what does that Elderbridge offer?
I work for the Spencer office as a service specialist, and I work with the Options Counseling Program, case management, a lot of family caregivers, and we help adults with disabilities, seniors, and caregivers to help pursue independent and healthy lives.
Alrighty, how long have you been there?
I've been there almost 2 years. It'll be coming up in September.
So you kind of got started just as things had to change.
Yes, that is right.
All right, so you mentioned options counseling and case management. So what's the difference between those?
Yeah, so options counseling is a shorter term program for clients that really just need maybe a 90 days or less type of situation. We can help from everything from application assistance, funding assistance, and variables in between. Case management is a longer term program. It is more hands-on, and typically we can help with the same things but then provide ongoing support to clients as well, and they can discharge whenever they would like to, even if goals are not met. But the goal is to accomplish goals set out to help continue improving their lives.
What are the age range of folks that you work with?
Really adults, I've worked with as low as 30s for family caregiver, and elderly up to 90s, I suppose.
All right. So if folks aren't sure if they would fit, just give you a call and you can certainly help them see what would fit best for them?
Yeah, certainly. So we would just encourage people to call in to our toll-free line. They would reach staff, live people, as long as somebody's available to answer the phone, and if we can't help them right then, we'll certainly get their name and number and get them a call back.
Alrighty, so I know there's more than just these options out there too, so
yes, certainly.
Just scratching the surface.
Yes.
All right. So you are in charge of the Caregiver Support Group. Tell me a little bit about how do you define a caregiver?
So a caregiver can be defined as anybody, really. It can be a neighbor, a family member, or just a loved one who's helping to provide caregiving for somebody. It can be anything from going to check the mail, getting groceries, helping with laundry, or managing somebody's finances to help them pay bills. Can really be a family caregiver. Most of them are unpaid. We do run into CDAC providers that are paid caregivers sometimes, which is a little bit different, but typically we work with unpaid caregivers all across the board for care recipients in our area.
So what can someone expect if they take part in one of your support groups?
So what somebody could expect is right now to join via Zoom, or we'll offer a hybrid option. So if they were near our Spencer office, I would say if you would like to come in, please feel free, and then we can also join via Zoom. Really, there's a lot of relief from anxiety or distress from the caregiving role in just getting information, being able to openly and honestly talk about the situation and just look for support. So really that's a lot of relief. And then also, referrals. People can expect to see referrals based on whatever their individual circumstances.
Do you bring in speakers to talk, or is it mostly just kind of your folks that are on the call that are other caregivers speaking to each other?
Sure. So in our groups, it is primarily just caregivers and myself facilitating. We do have a group in another area that is facilitated with a church and is established working with a parish nurse, which can also be, helpful. And then there's a lot of other support groups too that we can refer people to if they're wanting something specific, such as Parkinson's support group or Alzheimer's support groups.
So what would maybe be, if I'm thinking, I don't need that, but maybe would be a warning sign that maybe you should join into this group and just talk about some things?
Sure. So I encourage all the caregivers that I talk to on the phone to join, whether they're in options counseling, case management, or not. The goal is to prevent caregiver burnout. So if you have somebody that's caring for a loved one at home or attempting to transition them to an assisted living facility or get home care, all of that really, if you're a caregiver in general, I would suggest that you just join. Even if you try it once, assistance, I think it's great for the caregivers that are out there, especially those at home right now, caregiving, still in the pandemic, for a loved one.
When do you meet?
My groups are facilitated the first Thursday of the month. There's an evening session from 5:15 to 6:15 p.m. And there's also a morning session on the third Tuesday of the month from 10 to 11 a.m. So just kind of depending on people's schedules and when they can call in, and they can certainly join any one of our office's support groups via Zoom right now, since Zoom is an option. And they can join via phone, computer, or if they have a grandpad, they can also join that way.
So how do they get that invitation? So I know you usually have to have an invitation for Zoom.
You do have to have an invitation, and yeah, we just encourage people to call in. If they already have my direct line, they can certainly call that and get it. Otherwise, our information and assistance staff often transfer calls to me, and we just make sure that we get their information, the basics, and they can always be set up on an email distribution list also to get that invite.
Mm-hmm. Do you need to be a client of Elderbridge to join the group?
We do need the information in the system, but they do not need to be a client in an active program such as options counseling or case management, but we do encourage participation if there's a need.
Alrighty. So does a caregiver need to reside in like Spencer in order to be able to come, or can you be outside of the area?
They can be outside of the area, and that's a great question. A lot of caregivers are further away. Really, the main concern is that the care recipient be in our service area in one of our 29 counties. So if there's any question, we would just encourage people to call into our toll-free number and find out. But we can do some caregiver support from a distance, like I said, as long as the care recipient's in our service area.
Alrighty. So if folks have questions, or if they're concerned maybe for a loved one or maybe a neighbor, is this something they can call you about as well?
Yeah, certainly. And even if somebody doesn't identify themselves as a caregiver, they can still call in if they're concerned about somebody else. We would just direct them to our toll-free number and see what we could do to assist.
All right, so it's a great way to kind of lighten the load maybe a little bit and talk out. Maybe you think you're the only one with that problem, and you may find out you're not, right?
Certainly, yeah. There's a lot of people in similar boats, and really just expressing, concerns, trying to get ideas, suggestions for different things that are coming up. It's a great way to find support and just see what other people are doing, what works, what doesn't, and give some good information too.
Alrighty. How can folks get a hold of you if they have questions?
Sure. So the toll-free number is 800-243-0678. And they can always be directed to me, Jenn Lappegard, for the Spencer area. And if they're calling for another service area, we have staff in other locations as well, and we can just direct them as needed.
Alrighty. Anything else you'd like to add on Caregiver Support Group or Elderbridge in general?
I would just like to say that really there's a lot of assistance options out there, and not just options counseling, case management, but we do have evidence-based programs where we've done seated Tai Chi via Zoom or regular Tai Chi for arthritis. We have nutrition programs and just a lot of other things. We're able to help people with social isolation with grandpads and companion pets. So there's just so much out there. If there's any questions or concerns that people have, we would just encourage them to call us and see how we can help.
That's right. They're there to help you. So call that number, and maybe they have that answer that you've been searching for. All right. Thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was great to visit.
Good. We'll be back with more right after this.